This video is going to talk about rates and unit rates. Okay. A rate is a ratio of quantities with different units. So if you recall, ratios was when we compared two quantities that had the same units. However, with rates they have different units. A unit rate is obtained by dividing the numerator by the denominator in a rate. Okay, so let's write down some examples so we can get an idea of what we're talking about. Some examples of some rates would be something like, I drove my car 60 miles in 3 hours. Okay, this would be an example of a rate. Or, I paid $6 for 2 pounds of mangoes. Last one. My car drove 355 miles on 10 gallons of gas. Each of these is an example of a rate. Now, a unit rate, if we read up here, is obtained by dividing the numerator by the denominator. So if you divide 60 by 3, you end up with 20, right? So in fact, 20 miles per hour would be the unit rate for this guy. So I'm going to say that these are going to be the unit rates. Okay. Notice that we pair these units up together here. The miles and the hour go together. You cannot cancel units in any of these problems because they're different. Next one. It says $6 for 2 pounds of mangoes. If we take 6 and we divide it by 2, of course we get 3. So in fact, this is equal to $3 per pound. I'll just write out the word pound this time. Last one, 355 miles in 10 gallons. If I take 355 and I divide it by 10, I actually end up with 35.5. So it becomes 35.5 miles per gallon. All of these guys are examples of unit rates. Okay, unit rates just simply means that we really have an invisible 1 on the bottom, right? This is 20 miles per 1 hour, or $3 for 1 pound, 35.5 miles per 1 gallon. That's where the word unit comes from. We have a special one here, and that refers to unit price. Okay? Unit price is simply a unit rate with dollars on top. That's it. Okay, unit price is simply a unit rate with dollars on top. When you go to the store and you see mangoes on sale for $3 a pound, this is an example of a unit price. Or when they tell you that gas costs $4 per gallon, these are all examples of unit price. So this one right here is not just a unit rate, it's actually a unit price, since it has dollars on top. Okay, let's do some examples where we actually find the unit price. So find the unit price. We're going to round to the nearest cent if necessary. Problem 1. Yoku buys a bag of 13 tangerines for $2.99. But what if you want to know what the unit price is? Well, we know that we always have to put the dollars on top. So what we write is $2.99 and 13 tangerines on the bottom. Now, the way to figure out the unit price is we take $2.99 and we divide it by 13. Okay? Now, this is where a calculator comes in handy. We are not going to do this by hand. $2.99 divided by 13 gives us 23. Sorry, 0.23. What that means is this is actually $0.23 per tangerine, or another way to say that is 23 cents per tangerine. Okay, this would be the unit price, right? The price per tangerine. Okay, let's try another one. We actually didn't have to even round that time. Let's try a different one though. Okay. What about Paul buys 3 pounds of fish for $11.95. Remember, you always need to put dollars on top. So we're going to write it this way. This becomes 11.95 divided by 3. Punch it into our calculator. Let's see what we get. 11.95 divided by 3. 3.9833333333. Now, because it repeats forever, the way we round this to the nearest penny, of course, the nearest penny would be the digit here. And since we have a 3 as the next digit, this just becomes $3.98 per pound. $3.98 per pound. Which is a pretty good deal for fish, right? Okay, last thing I want to go over is how we can find the better buy. Like, you go to the store and you want to know which is a better deal. Okay. So let's write this down. We can find the better buy by comparing unit prices. We always want to pay less, right? So the lower unit price is the better buy. Okay. So let's try an example of finding the better buy. A certain brand of coffee comes in 2 sizes. A 12.3 ounce package costs $2.74. A 30.6 ounce package costs $7.48. Which is the better buy? Which is the better buy? Alright, well, let's take a look. For the first type, it's $2.74 for 12.3 ounces. Okay, notice that I put the dollars on top. So if I divide on my calculator 2.74 by 12.3, I end up with I'm going to round it to 22 cents per ounce. Okay, so it rounds to about 22 cents per ounce. Now for the second one, we paid, or it cost, $7.48 for 30.6 ounces. Let's go ahead and divide that to see what we get. It actually ends up being 24 cents per ounce. Okay, so this one is lower. That means the 12.3 ounce package is the better buy. So if you were in the market and you needed a lot of this stuff, it's better to buy lots of the smaller package instead of buying one large package. Okay, this is really useful when you go to the market because you can't just assume that buying the bigger thing saves you money. This is not always true. So this is a realistic problem. Okay. That is it for this video. I hope it was helpful. Thanks for watching.